My name is Donovan with Donovan's Custom Jewelers. Today I'll be reviewing the GEM 3D printer by Nova3D. When I first started making jewelry, the only way to cast something into gold was to first carve it by hand out of wax. Today, CAD designing and 3D printing have become a major part of jewelry manufacturing. I don't see 3D printing as a replacement for wax carving. I see it as another artistic tool. Neither method is necessarily better than the other, and most modern jewelers today use both. So who is the GEM 3 for? It's for jewelers who want highly detailed castable resin prints, whether you're just learning CAD and 3D printing or upgrading from an older machine. Right out of the box, my first impression is that this is a solid machine. The construction feels heavy duty, the Z-axis is robust, and the build plate substantial. I'd rather have a machine that feels overbuilt, especially when precision matters. A few notable features include a 17 micron pixel size, a built-in chamber heater, and Nova3D's 7th generation light homogenizer, which basically provides more even UV light distribution across the build area. The printer comes with everything you'd expect to get started, including the resin vat, build plate, power supply, a box with some filters, gloves, and a few tools you may need. One thing I did like is that there was no build plate leveling required. The machine was essentially ready to go right out of the box. Nova3D also sent me a bottle of their high wax castable resin to test out. And for our first project, I decided to use an actual customer's job, Rottweiler Tillie, wearing her special little boots that she wore because of a disability. GEM 3 includes a built-in chamber heater, which is especially useful when printing castable resins. The goal is to keep the resin, the build plate, the whole printing environment at a stable temperature, and a chamber heater does that very well. For our first project, we're printing the little Rottweiler pendant, some pipe wrenches for customers' orders, and a few other jobs that need to get done. The whole print took about 6 hours. The prints are removed from the build plate, cleaned in multiple alcohol baths before being blown dry. The pendant's going to be cast in 14K gold, so she gets her own dedicated sprue base. Once the Rottweiler is sprued up and ready to go, she joins the rest of the models waiting to be cast. A metal flask is placed over the rubber base, and a high-temperature plaster called investment is mixed and poured over the models. The flask is then vacuumed to remove any trapped air and left to dry overnight before entering the burnout furnace. Once the burnout is complete, the flask is then removed from the furnace and placed into the cradle of the casting machine. The metal is heated. The pen is then released, and centrifugal force moves the gold into the voids left by the models. The flask is allowed to cool for a couple minutes before being quenched in water to break away the investment. The Rottweiler is cut away from the sprue base. Connections are filed and reshaped. Our jump ring and bail are soldered into place, and after some acid cleaning, tumbling, sanding, polishing, and texturing, our piece is complete. There you have it. Tillie the Rottweiler is all finished, and she looks amazing. At the end of the day, the real test isn't whether it can produce a good-looking resin model. The real test is whether that model can be successfully cast into precious metal while maintaining the fine detail and dimensional accuracy. For me, the GEM 3 passed the test. The machine feels solid, prints extremely fine detail, maintains dimensional accuracy, and produces layer lines that are almost non-existent. The next thing I'd like to do is to test out Blue Cast X1 resin in this machine, so I'll be making another video real soon once I've had a chance to put it through the paces. For now, this little pup needs to get packed up and shipped home, and I've got more projects waiting on my bench. If you're a jeweler looking to get into resin printing or upgrade an old machine, the GEM 3 is definitely worth a look. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.